Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
Let's head over to Indiana, where detectives with the Steuben County Sheriff's Office say they're looking for help trying to find a 40-year-old man they say that's failed to properly register as a sex offender. Police say they issued a warrant for Johnny Edward Kendrick on Wednesday, charging him with 3 counts to failure to register as a sex or violent offender. Investigators say they found Kendrick was not living at his registered address and did not report that address change to police, which is required by law. The man is described as a chomo, being 5'10" and about 165 pounds with brown eyes and short brown hair. Police say he typically has a beard or a goatee with numerous tattoos on his upper body. He was last known to be in the area of the city of Ashley and could possibly be armed. So if you see him, police ask that you call the Steuben County Sheriff's Office. Let's head down to Texas, where Roberto Ortiz Jr., a 41-year-old teacher from Loretto, has been indicted on charges of possession, receipt, and distribution of child sexual abuse material. A federal grand jury returned the 3-count indictment on June 25th, and Ortiz is set to appear before U.S. Magistrate Judge Diana Song Quagora for his arraignment on July 5th at 10:15 in the morning. Well, on March 23rd, law enforcement received 4 child sexual abuse material files from a Laredo IP address. The indictment claims that Ortiz shared these files through a peer-to-peer application. And on June 4th, authorities searched Ortiz's home. Ortiz allegedly showed him his computer where he saved the downloaded content. They reportedly found several files containing child sexual abuse material, including the 4 files in question. Ortiz is a local high school teacher, but of course they're saying there's no evidence linking him and his activities to his job at the time. The FBI and the Loretto Child Exploitation Task Force conducted this investigation, and if he's found guilty, Ortiz could face up to 20 years in the joint and a fine of $250,000. And now we're going to head into Ohio, where a central social worker convicted of sexual conduct with one of her underage clients received her sentence on Thursday. You probably remember her from here on the sex offender hit list. This is 24-year-old Peyton Shires, and she was facing up to 28.5 years in prison. Well, the sentence came down today, and it's only 4 years and 9 months, and she'll have to register as a Tier 2 sex offender every 180 days for the next 25 years. You know, for abusing and what she did, it's just really a sad sentence. The social worker from Mount Sterling previously pleaded guilty to 7 of 8 total charges back on May 28th, including 4 counts of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor, 2 counts of intimidating a witness, and 1 count of inducing panic. A count of discharging a firearm was dropped, but inducing panic charge includes a 1-year firearm specification. I think she shouldn't have a gun for life. Anyways, the felony charges stem from her being accused of sexually abusing a 13-year-old boy in Columbus, who she was assigned to provide mental health counseling services through the National Youth Advocacy Program. Columbus police first got involved when the teen's mother called them to report text messages she found between him and Shires. The social worker had asked the 13-year-old if he deleted videos and if his mother had seen them or the messages between them. You know, it kind of tipped her off. So she gave her son's phone to the police as evidence, and after a warrant was issued, investigators found a video of Shires engaging in sexual acts with the teen. The Columbus police then joined the mother for a phone call with Shires, where she admitted to participating in these sexual acts with the 13-year-old. And then when officers took her in for questioning, she admitted that she participated in multiple sex acts with that boy. Shires was also charged with 2 counts of witness intimidation when Columbus police said she violated the terms of her $500,000 bond and went to the victim's house, where she threatened to kill the mother of the victim and herself, and she fired the gun off in the air when she arrived at their house. Not even 5 years. Crazy. See ya, Chomet.
Yeah, my mother told me there'd be days like this.
And here we have a man previously convicted of child rape. And he was arrested at a Miami International Airport on Wednesday after authorities said they found 2 files of child sexual abuse material on his phone. 50-year-old Christopher Hammond of Harriman, Utah, is facing these 2 felony charges in South Florida. He's on the Utah Sex Offender Registry after a 2001 conviction in Colorado for sexual assault on a child under 15 by a person in a position of trust. He served more than 5 years in prison for that one, which isn't enough. Police say he can now face more prison time in the Sunshine State after authorities said a search of his cell phone turned up 2 images showing nude girls, one of whom was under 8 years old. Upon arriving at the airport Wednesday morning, the border agent sent Hammond to a secondary screening after he was flagged as being a sex offender. And of course there, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents found the 2 photos in a hidden folder. Police said Hammond told officers there was no child sexual abuse material on his cell phone, but claimed he's seen it randomly pop up when he browses the net for regular porn. He then asked for a lawyer. As of Thursday morning, Hammond's being held in the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center on a measly $5,000 bond. That's just insane. I don't get these people. The LA County District Attorney on Wednesday filed multiple charges, including 2 for attempted murder against a homeless sexual offender on parole accused of attacking 3 separate women Monday morning at Santa Monica Beach. Dwayne Garnett. Yeah, that's his name, Dwayne, a 31-year-old who has a significant criminal history, was also charged with felony child abuse and kidnapping during the attempted murder of a 17-year-old girl. Garnett attacked a girl who was on the sand near Lifeguard Tower 13, striking and strangling her, the police said. He's also charged with assault by means likely to produce great bodily injury and assault with intent to commit rape for punching and biting another woman who tried to intervene in the attack. A second charge of attempted murder, along with one for kidnapping, was filed against Garnett for pulling a woman in her 70s who was walking near the waterline into the ocean and trying to hold her underwater. Lifeguards and police officers were on scene within minutes, interrupting Garnett's attack and taking him into custody. The teenage victim was transported to a local hospital with moderate injuries and later released. The other 2 victims were treated at the scene by lifeguards and fire department personnel. Garnett, who's being held on a $1 million bail, has a record of previous arrests that include assault with intent to commit rape, false imprisonment, and 2 assaults with a deadly weapon, including one involving a firearm. He was also arrested twice for domestic violence, trespassing, failed to register as a sex offender. There's a big laundry list of charges he's got here. And he's currently on formal probation after being arrested in December 21 by the LAPD and convicted for attempted oral copulation through force and assault with the intent to commit sexual assault on a minor. He's been arrested for multiple violations of his probation terms, and this is, of course, soon right after he was released the first time. What an insane, just an insane story here. On June 9th, he was arrested by Santa Monica police for failing to register as a sex offender. Then they just let him out, and then he goes and does this stuff. Crazy. I mean, yeah, look at him. He looks crazy. See ya, Chomo. Let's head over to Atchison County, Kansas, where law enforcement authorities are investigating a sex offender on a new requested charge after an arrest. On Tuesday, the police arrested 33-year-old Danny E. Grosshong of Atchison. Grossong is in custody in a Kansas Department of Corrections detain order for parole violation and a district court warrant for failure to appear in court. In February of last year, police arrested Grossong during a traffic stop on requested charges of no vehicle tag, no vehicle insurance, driving without a license, possession of meth, marijuana, and drug paraphernalia. He was previous convictions for rape of a child under the age of 14, as well as aggravated indecent liberties. And he's been listed as a registered offender since 2011, according to the Kansas Department of Corrections. Jeez.
Now get in there!
The LA County District Attorney on Wednesday filed multiple charges, including 2 for attempted murder, against a homeless sexual offender on parole accused of attacking 3 separate women Monday morning at Santa Monica Beach. Dwayne Garnett. Yeah, that's his name, Dwayne, a 31-year-old who has a significant criminal history, was also charged with felony child abuse and kidnapping during the attempted murder of a 17-year-old girl. Garnett attacked a girl who was on the sand near Lifeguard Tower 13, striking and strangling her, the police said. He's also charged with assault by means likely to produce great bodily injury and assault with intent to commit rape for punching and biting another woman who tried to intervene in the attack. A second charge of attempted murder, along with one for kidnapping, was filed against Garnett for pulling a woman in her 70s who was walking near the waterline into the ocean and trying to hold her underwater. Lifeguards and police officers were on scene within minutes, interrupting Garnett's attack and taking him into custody. The teenage victim was transported to a local hospital with moderate injuries and later released. The other 2 victims were treated at the scene by lifeguards and fire department personnel. Garnett, who's being held on a $1 million bail, has a record of previous arrests that include assault with intent to commit rape, false imprisonment, and 2 assaults with a deadly weapon, including one involving a firearm. He was also arrested twice for domestic violence, trespassing, failed to register as a sex offender. There's a big laundry list of charges he's got here. And he's currently on formal probation after being arrested in December 21 by the LAPD and convicted for attempted oral copulation through force and assault with the intent to commit sexual assault on a minor. He's been arrested for multiple violations of his probation terms, and this is, of course, soon right after he was released the first time. What an insane story here. On June 9th, he was arrested by Santa Monica police for failing to register as a sex offender. Then they just let him out, and then he goes and does this stuff. Crazy. I mean, yeah, look at him. He looks crazy. See ya, Chomo. Let's head up to Washington. Investigators in Fairfax County say they've arrested a child sex predator, and they're looking for additional victims that the 41-year-old man may have targeted. Fairfax County police say they received a tip on June 7th about a man's inappropriate communication with an underage victim online. Subsequently, the suspect was located at a location in Tyson's Corner, where he intended to meet and potentially engage in sexual acts with the young victim. After thoroughly investigating and collecting collaborating evidence, detectives arrested Jerry Frank Birdie of Herndon. He was taken to Fairfax County Adult Detention Center and charged with use of communication systems to solicit a minor, attempted forcible intercourse with a victim under 13, and indecent liberties with a child under 15. Detectives believe that Birdie may have targeted other victims through direct contact or on platforms such as Snapchat, where his username is Drunks Love Punch, or the platform Whisper, where he has a screen name there, Tempo_EX. Investigators add that Birdie may have used other platforms as well, and they are urging anyone who has any possible chance of contacting this guy somehow to get a hold of the police and fill him in, so we can charge him with more stuff and keep him in jail longer. See ya, Chomo. Over in Alabama, a Madison man is in jail after authorities say he tried to meet a child for sex. The Madison police say they began investigating Trayvon Putnam in late May. Investigators say they were tipped off by the Decatur Police Department. U.S. Marshals tracked down Putnam to Mississippi and arrested him on June 20th. He's charged with rape, sodomy, and traveling to meet a child for unlawful sex acts. He was booked into the Madison County Jail on a $25,000 bond. See ya, Chomo.
I'd like to know what dirty stone pigeon squealed on me.
Multiple charges were filed Wednesday in Franklin County Circuit Court against an area man in connection with alleged child sex crimes. 18-year-old Jayton T. Roberts is charged with felony second-degree child molestation involving a child less than 12 years old, felony possession of child sexual abuse material, felony statutory sodomy, and attempted statutory sodomy involving a person less than 14 years old, and misdemeanor furnishing of pornographic materials to a minor. Roberts is described as homeless in a press release from the Washington Police Department, although online court records list an address for him in Catawissa. The charges stem from incidents earlier this month. The victim in the case, an 11-year-old girl, became friends with Roberts through mutual friends and began communicating with him through social media. The victim, who lives with her grandmother, invited Roberts into their home because he was couch surfing. And on June 12th, the victim's grandmother, who had been unaware that Roberts was in her home, went into the victim's bedroom to administer her medication and found Roberts in her bed. During the investigation, it was found that sexual contact occurred between Roberts and the victim. Also, during the investigation, it was found that Roberts and the victim exchanged sexually explicit images and text messages. Roberts was arrested Wednesday. He's being held without bond at the Franklin County Adult Detention Facility. A man from Pittsburgh's Elliott neighborhood is facing multiple child sexual abuse material charges. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a cyber tip from Google back on February 14th of last year regarding a man named Robert Shelton uploading 8 files of suspected child sexual abuse. 2 months later, a user with the same name uploaded more files of suspected child sexual abuse material. Police used information from both instances to track Shelton to a house in Elliott. Then a day after the warrant was granted, officers waited at the municipal court building for Shelton, who was there for an unrelated matter, and he came out with his son, and officers served the warrant. During the search warrant of his house, Shelton confirmed the email addresses and Facebook account connected to the child sexual abuse material uploads were his. Devices recovered during the search warrant of Shelton's house contained various photos and videos of child sexual abuse material. He was then charged with 5 counts of possession and 1 count of criminal use of a communication facility. A Lenore man was arrested and booked into the Nez Perce County Jail this week after he was accused of inappropriately touching a child on multiple occasions. According to court documents, on June 18th, the Nez Perce County Sheriff's Office received a report that 43-year-old Sean Kleemeyer had repeatedly touched a minor female inappropriately. In an interview with police this week, the minor said Kleemeyer had inappropriately touched her on multiple occasions that dated back a few years. The child's mother claimed that she confronted him about the incidents, and he allegedly did not deny it. The Nez Perce County Sheriff's Office arrested Kleemeyer on Tuesday, and he was booked into the Nez Perce County Jail on a felony charge of lewd conduct with a minor under the age of 16. Kleemeyer was reportedly on probation already for aggravated assault.
I'm gonna give you solitary confinement for 99 years.
Attorney General Raul Labrador has announced investigators with his Idaho Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force arrested 37-year-old Jason Malone on Wednesday, June 26th. Jason Malone was charged with 8 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor and was booked into Bannock County Jail on a $150,000 bond. Agencies that assisted the Idaho Attorney General's ICAC task force were Pocatello Police Department, Homeland Security, Idaho Falls Police Department, Bonneville County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Madison County Sheriff's Office. Once again, the partnerships between law enforcement and ICAC task forces are invaluable when it comes to taking predators off the streets. And we're all grateful for the hard work that our partner agencies do to keep the kids safe. Protecting our kids is a top priority for so many of us. See ya, Chomo. Now we'll head over to Nashville, Tennessee, where a man was arrested Tuesday after sexually explicit images of a child were publicly posted on social media. Special Victims Unit detectives arrested Matthew Williams, a 28-year-old of Antioch. I used to live in Antioch. It's right outside of Nashville there. According to Metro Police, detectives received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children concerning sexual material posted to an X account earlier this month. An investigation revealed Williams' connection to that account, and during an interview with detectives, Williams admitted the female child shown in the images was known to him and that he was the one who took those pictures. Electronic devices were seized from his home during the search warrant. Williams is charged with 3 counts of especially aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. He is currently jailed on a $150,000 bond. See ya, Chomo. Taney County and Stone County, Missouri, 2 counties that recently arrested 10 different individuals for sexually trafficking children. On June 24th and 25th, investigators and officers with the Stone County Sheriff's Office, the Taney County Sheriff's Office, the Branson Police Department, the Comet Drug Task Force, as well as the Missouri Attorney General's Human Trafficking Task Force and the Pathways Project, joined together for a multi-agency internet sting operation. The agencies conducted multiple counter-human trafficking operations in Stone and Taney counties, as well as the Branson area. Investigators made contact with multiple commercial sex providers and discovered several of the workers were victims of human trafficking. They made 10 arrests for enticement of a child, sexual trafficking of a child in the second degree, soliciting prostitution, promoting prostitution, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. 3 of the arrests include Naib Saldana, Dalton Parton, and Christian Dywert, who are facing charges of sexual trafficking of a child. Mariko Quazara is facing a charge of enticement of child. All 4 of these individuals are being held with no bond.
Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
Now we'll head over to Nashville, Tennessee, where a man was arrested Tuesday after sexually explicit images of a child were publicly posted on social media. Special Victims Unit detectives arrested Matthew Williams, a 28-year-old of Antioch. I used to live in Antioch. It's right outside of Nashville there. According to Metro Police, detectives received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children concerning sexual material posted to an X account earlier this month. An investigation revealed Williams' connection to that account, and during an interview with detectives, Williams admitted the female child shown in the images was known to him and that he was the one who took those pictures. Electronic devices were seized from his home during the search warrant. Williams is charged with 3 counts of especially aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. He is currently jailed on a $150,000 bond. See ya, Chomo. A Rocky Mountain man was indicted on child sexual abuse material charges and bestiality charges also Monday, according to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. According to deputies, Luther Henry Wagner, a 27-year-old, was indicted on 25 counts of child sexual abuse material and 2 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. You know, it seems like more and more lately these kind of guys and creeps are just coming out of the woodwork. Animals. I don't understand it. Deputies say law enforcement received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and Wagner was arrested March 25th. He's been in custody since his initial arrest and is being held with no bail, according to the deputies there. Good. Let's keep him in there. Middletown, Indiana. The Central Indiana youth pastor, substitute teacher, and high school track coach. Gee, what a combination. A pastor, a teacher, and a coach. Well, all three of them deal with kids, don't they? Well, he just happened to be all three of them, right? Well, he admitted to the police that he fondled and had oral sex with a teenage girl in his Henry County church office. Why? Because he was having troubles at home, he said. This is 35-year-old Brian Crabtree. He's from Sulphur Springs. He was arrested earlier this month and charged with felony sexual misconduct and child solicitation. Newer court documents filed in his case revealed that the youth pastor knew his actions were going to get found out. Deputies with the Henry County Sheriff's Office were called on June 12th to Sulphur Springs Christian Church after another pastor received an anonymous letter with allegations against Crabtree. Church elders immediately placed Crabtree on leave and later fired him. When the police arrived there, Crabtree was coincidentally already there picking up some items he had left earlier in the day. He reportedly told the police he knew something was going to happen, and later he said he knew it would come out at some point after church staff told him about the allegations. Church staff spoke of disturbing rumors involving Crabtree, and the tipster was fearful due to his position as a youth pastor. Deputies then spoke with the victim, who said she met Crabtree as a freshman at Shenandoah High School, and he was her track and cross-country coach. Police learned that Crabtree, who at times served as the victim's substitute teacher, also started by sending lewd photos and videos to the then 14-year-old girl and requesting that she did the same. However, she said things turned physical over the next year and a half and continued until she was 18 years old. Crabtree was then taken to the sheriff's office for an interview where he reportedly admitted to being attracted to the victim for a while, he said, and referred to her as a beautiful girl. At first, police said Crabtree claimed nothing began between him and the victim until she was about 17 or 18. Court documents detail how Crabtree knew what he was doing was wrong and how he blamed it on him going through a lot at home. The youth pastor said intimacy issues made it so that he needed someone to talk to and confide in, so he chose that teenage girl. Deputies told Crabtree that they already knew more than he thought, causing him to reportedly admit to fingering and performing oral sex on the girl when she was just 14. The encounters occurred mostly at the church and in his house in late 2020. Well, the next day on June 13th, Crabtree was officially arrested by the deputies and charged with 3 counts of child solicitation and 1 count of sexual misconduct with a minor, and he was booked into the Henry County Jail. The initial hearing in Crabtree's case is scheduled for 11 a.m. on July 1st. See ya, Chomo.
Now get in there!
We'll head down to Georgia for this one. Authorities there have arrested a man who allegedly arranged to meet an 8-year-old girl in Muskogee County. 29-year-old Royce Smith was arrested Friday by the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office Sex Offender Task Force and Special Operations Unit. He was taken to the county jail where he faces the following charges: felony enticing a child for indecent purposes, felony possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. According to Sheriff Greg Countryman, undercover investigators were posing as that 8-year-old girl, and they engaged in conversations with Smith over the cell phone and internet forums. The Muskogee County Sheriff's Office won't stop until this deplorable criminal behavior stops, said Countryman. See ya, Chomo. Oklahoma. The Skiatook Police Department arrested a Woodward man for crimes against children. According to the police department, Wesley Rower was arrested for lewd proposals to a child, showing obscene material to a child, and violation of the Oklahoma Computer Crimes Act. The investigation was done in collaboration with the Homeland Security's Tornado Alley Child Exploitation and Trafficking Task Force, the USBI's Internet Crimes Against Children's, the ICAC Task Force, the Creek County Sheriff's Office, and the Osage County District Attorney's Office. Jeez. See ya, Chomo. Florida. It was 6 a.m. on Thursday. A military-like unit of the Broward Sheriff's Office entered a 2-bedroom apartment in Dania Beach to arrest Anthony Cruz, a suspect in a child sexual exploitation case. There were 2 others in there with them. Cruz is 40 years old and resides in the Daniels complex apartment. Deputies had a search warrant and found Cruz's Samsung Galaxy S22 smartphone on his bed with more than 10 images of child sexual abuse victims as young as 4 years old. I also located additional files of child sexual abuse material in a search warrant return for the defendant's Kik account. The Broward Sheriff's Office Detective Christopher DiPolesi wrote in a report about the Kik instant messaging mobile app. The child sex abuse images associated with Cruz's Kik account were both of boys and girls between the ages of 5 and 13 years old. Through legal process and additional intelligence, he was able to identify and locate that defendant, and the correctional deputies booked Cruz on Thursday at the main jail in Fort Lauderdale, and he appeared in bond court on Friday. He's facing 11 third-degree charges, 10 counts of possession, control, view, depiction, child sexual conduct. A judge set his bond at $110,000, including $10,000 for each charge.
Yeah, my mother told me there'd be days like this.
Boonville. A Prentiss County man has been arrested on a pair of felony sex charges involving a child. Deputies picked up Daniel M. Malone, a 50-year-old of Baldwin, on June 19th, serving felony warrants for child enticement and touching a child for lustful purposes. This arrest is a result of a report filed with the Sheriff's Office that prompted a forensic interview with the victim where disclosures were made. During his initial appearance, Prentiss County Justice Court Judge Ray Hall set bond at $150,000 for this chomo. The Virginia man who was caught with thousands of images depicting child sexual abuse involving toddlers and prepubescent children will spend decades in prison, federal authorities announced. Purcellville resident Raymond Lee Chavez, a 70-year-old, has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for his sexual exploitation of 5 children and his receipt and possession of thousands of images and videos depicting child sexual abuse material. According to court documents, Chavez, who was a consultant on issues related to climate change and served international clients, including the United Nations. Between April 2017 and 22, Chavez purchased at least 15 live streaming webcam shows involving the sexual abuse and exploitation of 5 prepubescent children from sex traffickers based in the Philippines. Prosecutors said that he would record segments of the streams with his phone and save them to external hard drives. Chavez and the traffickers would arrange times for the shows, negotiate payment, and discuss the sex acts that Chavez wanted the children to perform. He would also enjoy previews over video chats with the traffickers where the child will be put on display. Chavez also wanted the children to wear makeup and sexy stockings. And during the sexual abuse, Chavez continued to communicate with the trafficker and gave specific instructions what he wanted to see the children do. During a search of his home in March last year, investigators found 6 different electronic devices containing more than 5,000 images and videos depicting child sexual abuse. A Cayuga County man is in jail after allegedly engaging in sexual acts with a child back in 2013. According to the Cayuga County Sheriff's Office, Luke Gunnip was arrested Thursday after an investigation determined he engaged in oral sex with a person who was under 11 years old at the time. The 31-year-old Ira man was arraigned and taken to jail in lieu of a $25,000 cash or a $50,000 bond. The office adds that this is an ongoing investigation and anyone with information is asked to contact the police or leave an online tip on the Sheriff's Office website.
I'd like to know what dirty stone pigeon squealed on me.
Alright, a Gobles area couple who runs an in-home daycare have been arraigned in the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office. Jesse Stone, a 46-year-old, was arraigned on multiple counts of criminal sexual conduct as well as child abuse, and his bond was set at $750,000. His wife, Stephanie Stone, a 38-year-old, was arraigned on multiple counts as well. Hers was just child abuse, though, so a lower bond of $100,000. The couple were arrested on Saturday around 5 o'clock in the 1000 block of M40 highway. And it all started when the sheriff's office in LaGrange, Indiana, told Van Buren deputies about a case of child sexual abuse and physical abuse happening in their area. And they detailed the information related to that abuse. The house on M40, which operates as the daycare, was searched with a warrant. And deputies were able to gather enough evidence to arrest Jesse and Stephanie with the help of the Van Buren County Child Protective Services. Police don't believe any of the children who attend the daycare portion of the home were being abused, but then again, they're still investigating the case. Illinois, a New Lenox man faces charges after police said he downloaded child sexual abuse material and placed hidden cameras inside his own home to film an adult family member. This is 42-year-old Andrew H. Neudecker of the 200 block of Serp Drive. He was arrested July 2nd and charged with possession of child sexual abuse material and unlawful video recording. In September of last year, the New Lenox Police Department Investigations Unit received information regarding a New Lenox resident that was downloading the child sexual abuse material. And during the investigation, police said that Neudecker was identified as that suspect, and they obtained a search warrant for his house. Then on July 2nd, the cops searched his home with the assistance of the Cook County Sheriff's Office. And investigators took possession of Neudecker's electronic devices and digital storage devices also, which the cops say contained evidence of his crimes. Police said investigators also discovered evidence that hidden cameras were inside a bathroom and a bedroom, and they were used to obtain unlawful recordings of another family member who was not a child. Neudecker was then taken into custody. This investigation is ongoing and further charges are pending. Between May 14th and June 27th, the Moore County Sheriff's Office received 2 reports of sexual abuse of minor children that occurred in Cameron. The abuse was reported to have occurred over a period of years preceding the allegations. Then on July 1st, sheriff's investigators arrested Justin Wagner, 29-year-old of Cameron, in connection with the incidents. When approached by investigators, Wagner refused arrest and attempted to flee on foot, but was quickly apprehended. Probably explains the black eye and bruise on his cheek, I guess. It says a sheriff's office vehicle sustained minor damage during the arrest also. Wagner was charged with 1 count of felony first-degree forcible rape, 1 count of felony second-degree forcible rape, 6 counts of felony sex offenses with a child, 1 count of indecent liberties with a child, 1 count of resisting a public officer, and 1 count of injury to property. Wagner was committed to the Moore County Detention Center with no bond, pending an appearance in the Moore County District on July 24th. See ya, Chomo.
I'm gonna give you solitary confinement for 99 years.
The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office Special Victims Detectives arrested a man on Tuesday for indecent liberties with a child. 7:02 in the morning, 42-year-old Kyle Andrew Brown of Fayetteville was arrested and charged with 11 counts of indecent liberties with a child, 10 counts of statutory sex offense with a child less than 15, and 11 counts of felony child abuse, sexual acts. Brown was then taken to the Cumberland County Center and held without bond. Unfortunately, I don't have any details about the case. I'm just glad they got this chomo off the streets. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office has arrested one of its own detention deputies for allegedly owning child sexual abuse material that involved animals. Deputies arrested Trevor Scott Willis, a 33-year-old, after receiving information that child sexual abuse material was being accessed and shared virtually. According to the Sheriff's Office, Willis allegedly had videos of children aged 5 to 15, some of which depicted children engaging in sexual activities with a dog. Deputies said that Willis would view the videos on his personal cell phone while logged into the police station's agency Wi-Fi while he was on duty. During an interrogation by detectives, Willis admitted to obtaining and viewing the sexual material. So then he was arrested and charged with 10 counts of possession of child sexual abuse material, 10 counts of transmission of such abuse material, and 2 counts of sexual activity involving animals. And this morning he was still being held at Pinellas County Jail. And Willis resigned his deputy status yesterday. What a sick individual. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, a Brick Township man has been charged with possession of child sexual abuse material after an investigation identified him as uploading photos showing children involved in sexual activity. Robert M. Lasher, a 71-year-old, was arrested Tuesday at his house. The investigation after the New Jersey State Police Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force referred a tip that someone was uploading images of child sexual abuse to the internet. The Ocean County Prosecutor's Office High-Tech Crime Unit identified an IP address associated with Brick Township residents as the location of which the individual was uploading these images, and that person ultimately was identified as this chomo, Lasher. On Tuesday, detectives from the prosecutor's office, along with staff from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Investigations and Brick Township Police, executed a court-authorized search warrant at his house, and an initial forensic examination of Lasher's electronic devices led to the discovery of several items of child sexual abuse material. Lasher is currently being held at the Ocean County Jail pending a detention hearing.
Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
Alabama. A 34-year-old man from Northport is charged with 2 counts of dissemination of child sexual abuse material, as well as 8 counts of possession of child sexual abuse material. This is Casey Lee Kirkland. He was arrested July 3rd after the West Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force, as well as the Northport Police Department, searched a home in the 2600 block of 15th Avenue in Northport. Kirkland was arrested immediately on the spot, and he's being held in the Tuscaloosa County Jail awaiting bond to be set by a judge. Kanawha County, West Virginia, where a man has been arrested in connection with the sexual abuse of a child that spanned years, according to court documents. On March 11th, Charleston police responded to Wyoming Street following a sexual abuse complaint. The abuse was uncovered after a note written by the juvenile victim was discovered. Garrett Deems Jr., a 55-year-old of Procius, West Virginia, was arrested and charged with sexual abuse by a parent, guardian, or custodian or person in position of trust to a child after medical evidence was discovered. The criminal complaint stated that the alleged abuse happened for several years, and further information has not been released, but you can be sure to know that when it does, you'll find it here first on the sex offender hit list. See ya, chomo. Meanwhile, over in Nevada, one man was charged with 10 felony counts related to the sexual assault of a child in Washoe County on Monday. On June 29th, detectives from the Regional Sex Offender Notification Unit and patrol officers from the Reno Police Department arrested 43-year-old Edgar Acero Vasquez on a felony charge of violating sex offender registration requirements. Acero Vasquez was transported to the Washoe County Detention Facility and booked on this charge. An investigation was then initiated into the reported sexual abuse of a child who was known to Acero Vasquez and had been residing in the same house. On July 1st, after further investigation by Washoe County Sheriff's Office detectives, Edgar Acero Vasquez was charged by those detectives with 10 felony counts related to the sexual assault of a child, including 6 counts of lewdness committed by a person over 18 with a child 14 or 15 years of age, 2 counts of unlawful use of minors in producing pornography or the subject of sexual portrayal in performance, as well as 2 counts of statutory sexual seduction by an offender over the age of 21. Acero Vasquez is registered as a Tier 3 level sex offender in Nevada due to a conviction from June 5, 2019 in the Superior Court of California for unlawful sexual intercourse with a person under 18. What an extensive record. How can a person like this even be out on the streets?
Now get in there!
New Jersey police have announced the arrest of George Wohar Jr., a 62-year-old of North Plainfield. in relation to the distribution of child sexual abuse material. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children notified the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office of numerous tips involving images of the child sexual abuse material associated with various electronic service providers, according to McDonald. The investigation by the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office Special Investigations Computer Crimes Unit confirmed that the various electronic service providers containing these numerous images were all associated with this chomo right here. Somerset County Prosecutor's Office detectives, along with officers from the North Plainfield Police Department, executed a search warrant at Wohar Jr.'s residence on June 25th. And electronic devices, including phones and a tablet, were seized from that residence for further computer forensic examination. A search of those devices revealed multiple images and files containing child sexual abuse material. Wohar Jr. was arrested without incident at his house in North Plainfield, and he's been charged with second-degree distribution of images depicting the sexual exploitation and or abuse of a child, and third-degree possession of images depicting the sexual exploitation and or abuse of a child. Wohar Jr. is now being lodged in the Somerset County Jail pending a detention hearing. See ya, chomo. Okay, now we've got this orc-looking chomo. I mean, I swear that's what he looks like to me. But he's from Saugerties, and he's facing felony sex abuse charges. This is 42-year-old Ian Welling. He was arrested by the Saugerties police following an investigation involving sexual contact with a child. He's being accused of abusing a 6-year-old child. He's being held on a $50,000 bond. That's all the information I've got on this guy, but like I always say, as soon as I find out more, you can be sure to find it here first on the sex offender hit list. See you orc-looking chomo. Skowhegan. A local man remained in jail Wednesday after being arrested last week on charges that he sexually abused 2 teenage girls. 31-year-old Douglas Perkins, who has addresses in Skowhegan as well as Mercer, is facing 5 Class C counts of sexual abuse of a minor in connection with the alleged incidents. He was arrested on June 26th. Perkins made his initial court appearance Friday in Skowhegan, and he was being held Wednesday at the Somerset County Jail in Madison with cash bail set at $5,000. That's pathetic. $500,000 maybe. According to an affidavit filed in court, the investigation began in February when a family member of one of the alleged victims made a report to police. The alleged victims reported that she had a sexual encounter with Perkins. The alleged victim was just 14 years old at that time. Another victim later told a children's advocacy worker about several sexual encounters that she had with Perkins in 2023 as well as this year. The alleged victim, who is related to Perkins' girlfriend and was friends with the other alleged victim, was 14 and 15 at the time of the incidents. One of the alleged victims told investigators she was frozen in fear during the sexual abuse, and the other victim reported having felt very sick and uncomfortable during the alleged sexual abuse, and said Perkins' alleged actions just made her want to vomit. In a March 27th interview, Perkins denied it all but one of the alleged incidents, during which he said that he was intoxicated and half asleep. He told investigators that the girls probably grouped together and made up an elaborate story to get him in some kind of trouble. Well, Perkins is due back in court August 28th. He hasn't even been indicted yet. Let's put this chomo away for life.
Yeah, my mother told me there'd be days like this.
North Carolina. A Rowan County man wanted for multiple sex offenses was taken into custody after barricading himself inside an RV at Pilot Travel Center on Peeler Road. The Rowan County Sheriff's Office responded around 12:30 p.m. Wednesday to the travel center to help U.S. Marshal Service serve warrants on Stephen Joseph Borick. According to the press release, deputies said he was wanted by Statesville police on 6 counts of first-degree statutory sex offense and 6 counts of indecent liberties. Marshals said that they had information that he was in an RV at the travel center. Then once they arrived, he barricaded himself inside. Negotiations were tried multiple times to get him to come out. They found out that he had a knife in his hand. Deputies with the Rowan County Special Response Team eventually made entry into the RV, and they said they found him on the floor with a self-inflicted knife wound to his neck. Bork was taken to an area hospital for treatment, and according to deputies was not hurt as a result of the forced entries, and no officers were injured. No further information about this incident is available, but as soon as it is, you can be sure to find it here first on the sex offender hit list. A plea hearing for former North Dakota State Senator Ray Holmberg will take place 10:30 in the morning, August 8th in Fargo. U.S. District Court Judge Daniel Hubland ordered this on Monday. Holmberg last week signed an agreement indicating he plans to plead guilty to a charge of traveling with the intent to engage in illicit sexual activity with a minor. In the agreement, Holmberg admits to repeatedly traveling from North Dakota to the Czech Republic between June 24th of 2011 and November 1st of 2016 for the purposes of having sex with kids under the age of 18. A federal indictment of Holmberg also charged him with receipt and attempted receipt of child sexual abuse material. And under the plea agreement, prosecutors agreed to dismiss that charge. Prosecutors also indicated in the agreement they will seek a sentence on the low end of federal sentencing guidelines. Power and money will always do that. It's sickening to me. Defense attorney Mark Fries previously told the North Dakota Monitor that the sentencing guidelines advise a sentence of around 3 to 4 years in prison for the charge. The charge has a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison and a $100,000 fine and lifetime supervised release. The case was previously scheduled for a 5-day trial in September. The 80-year-old Republican from Grand Forks resigned from the North Dakota legislature in 2022. He served in the State House for more than 45 years and held the most powerful position of chairing the Senate Appropriations Committee. Sickening what power will do to you. Casper, Wyoming. A 25-year-old accused of sexually abusing a young child, possessing child sexual abuse material, and bragging about sex acts with young children, pleaded not guilty Friday in the Trona County District Court. Christopher J. Schmidt is charged with 1 count of sexual abuse of a minor in the first degree, 2 counts of sexual abuse of a minor in the second degree, 1 count of solicitation of sexual abuse of a minor in the first degree, 1 count of sexual exploitation of children with intent to manufacture or deliver it, and 2 counts of sexual exploitation of children related to the possession of child sexual abuse material. Schmidt also faces another charge related to sexual contact with a child. Well, special agents interviewed Schmidt, and he admitted to seeing his first images of child sexual abuse material at 16 years old and regularly viewed it. So, the affidavit stated that he also admitted to viewing and distributing the files, and that recently his interest in child sexual abuse material had become worse and worse. He reportedly admitted to offering a child for sex to another social media application user and to sending photos of his private parts to other users. The affidavit states he allegedly admitted to taking photos of a child that were pornographic in nature, and he also admitted to sexual acts with a child last year, and then taking pictures of it while he was doing it. You sick chomo, I hope you rot.
I'd like to know what dirty stone pigeon squealed on me.
Archibald, a Borough man, was arrested on allegations he downloaded child sexual abuse images. 34-year-old Michael David Patty is charged with accessing child sexual abuse material and criminal use of a cell phone. According to a criminal complaint, a user downloaded a file depicting sexually explicit visual content of a minor at about 3 in the morning on January 29th. Google had reported that to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The tip was then forwarded to the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office, which determined that Patty was the user connected with the account to which the images were downloaded to. Officers called the phone number identified with the account, and Potty answered, confirming his name and the address associated with the account. And on July 2nd, members of the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office, the Northeast Computer Crime Unit, and Archibald Police served a search warrant on Potty at his residence, during which multiple mobile devices and computers were seized for forensic analysis. Potty remains at the Lackawanna County Prison in lieu of a $50,000 bail, and a preliminary hearing is scheduled for 10:30 in the morning on July 16th before District Judge Sean Gallagher. A Columbia man was charged with the possession of child sexual abuse materials. Boone County prosecutors charged Christopher Eugene Oliver with possession of child sexual abuse material and promotion of child sexual abuse material. Court documents state that the Boone County Sheriff's Office Cybercrimes Task Force got a tip that someone in the area, this chomo here, had stored images of child sexual abuse on an online platform. Internet records led deputies to Oliver on July 2nd of this year. Deputies raided his house directly after, and the documents state that Oliver told the deputies that he had sent and received those images. Oliver is currently being held in the Boone County Jail with no bond. North Carolina. The Duplin County Sheriff's Office have made an arrest following an investigation into sexual abuse of a 6-year-old child. This is 26-year-old Brennan Gertier, and he was arrested and charged with 2 counts of rape of a child by an adult and 8 counts of sexual offense of a child by an adult. The Criminal Investigation Division began investigating these allegations of abuse after receiving a report earlier this week on July 2nd, which resulted in Gurrier's arrest. He remains jailed at the Duplin County Detention Center under a $2 million bond. Now that's the kind of bond I like. See ya, chomo.
I'm gonna give you solitary confinement for 99 years.
You're gonna want to throw up a trigger warning for this one. A former Youngsville resident currently in state prison on a 2015 child sexual assault conviction faces new charges of a similar nature. This is 43-year-old Jonathan G. Upton. He was charged by Youngsville Borough Police for conduct that is alleged to have occurred between January and December between 2010 and 2013 in Youngsville. Police were contacted by the victim and her mother back in March, who reported that the victim was allegedly assaulted by Upton between the ages of 4 and 6 years old. The victim first detailed mental and physical abuse perpetrated by Upton. She described how he would make her climb inside a washing machine, close the lid, and threatened to turn the washing machine on if she attempted to get out. Upton also allegedly forced her and her younger brother into dog crates as well, and forced her to walk with loaded foothold traps that are used on animals placed on her feet. The victim was instructed by Upton to take a leather belt around her younger brother's neck while he was sleeping and choke him, and she refused to do it. She also told authorities that Upton would allegedly make her eat hot dogs. She would throw up, and he would make her eat them again and eat the vomit. The victim then described instances of sexual assault on several occasions, which included Upton assaulting her and her brother, as well as forced oral sex and viewing of pornography. The affidavit alleges that upon threatening to kill her and her brother if she ever told anyone about the abuse, specifically threatening her with martial arts swords and telling her that he would make your mother watch too. Police charged Upton with a litany of charges in connection with these allegations. They include statutory sexual assault, 6 counts of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, sexual assault, 4 counts of aggravated indecent assault, 3 counts of indecent assault, 4 counts of corruption of minors, 3 counts of endangering the welfare of children, and terroristic threats. Upton's currently being held at the State Correctional Institution in Albion on similar charges from a 2015 conviction. Online court records show that include a 120-month to 240-month sentence. He's listed as a sexually violent predator, which means he has lifetime registration requirements under Megan's Law. A preliminary hearing has been set for next week on these new charges. Now, I got the feeling this guy's not going to make it out of prison. Let's hope not. Texarkana, Texas. A man who shared videos of himself sexually assaulting a 3-year-old pleaded guilty Tuesday to 2 counts of the sexual exploitation of a minor to produce child sexual abuse material in Texarkana federal court. 33-year-old Billy Joe Truss is facing a minimum of 15 years at sentencing. He pleaded guilty Tuesday to 2 counts listed in a 6-count indictment issued last year in the Eastern District of Texas. Truss was brought to the attention of the Hopkins County Sheriff's Office through a Priority 1 cyber tip on August 15th from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. A Priority 1 referral means that there is current or imminent risk to a child, and in this case, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children was concerned that these files had been recently produced or homemade, and the young girl pictured in the material was in some serious danger. And they were right. The young child in the videos purportedly could be heard saying "owie" in the videos while being sexually abused. Hopkins County investigators quickly identified Truss as a suspect believed to have uploaded the disturbing content that included rape, forced penetration, sodomy, and forced oral sexual activities. And in one of the videos, the suspect's face could be seen, and a state child protective service caseworker who was familiar with Truss identified him from the clip. Other videos allegedly showed identifying marks including tattoos, unique jewelry, things like that. Just 1 day after receiving the tip, the Hopkins County lawman, accompanied by officials in Franklin County, where Truss lived, went to his house, and Truss was arrested in its front yard of his Franklin County residence, and the alleged victim was found in the house and rescued along with another child. Federal officials are seeking Truss forfeiture of a number of electronic devices he used to record himself abusing those kids and upload the content of to the internet. Let's see here. He's going to return to court in a few months for sentencing. Doesn't say when, but it's not anytime soon. And he has no bond. Good. See ya, Chomo. This is a Portland police officer, hopefully former. He's been arrested and charged with the alleged sexual assault and abuse of a child, according to records from the Nueces County Sheriff's Office. Joseph Melendez, a 38-year-old, was arrested July 3rd in Corpus Christi and faces charges of alleged continuous sexual abuse of a child, alleged aggravated sexual assault of a child, and alleged indecency with a child with sexual contact, according to the Sheriff's Office. He's being held at the Nueces County Jail as of July 3rd, according to records, and his bail was set at a mere $30,000. So with 10%, he can walk free on $3,000. Disgusting.
Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
We'll head over to Idaho for this one, where a Twin Falls man's behind bars on multiple charges related to the abuse of a child. Brandon Ebertson, 41-year-old, was arraigned Wednesday afternoon in Jerome County Magistrate Court on 3 counts of felony lewd conduct with a child under 16. A warrant was issued for his arrest on June 27th after a child came forward to her school counselor saying that she was sexually abused. According to court documents that led to interviews with specialists at St. Luke's Children at Risk Evaluation Services, or more commonly known as CARES. On June 17th, a detective from the Jerome County Sheriff's Office monitored that interview with the minor child in a CARES forensic interview. Then charges were filed 10 days later for this chomo. This is Bevan Harmon. His carefully curated collection of some of the worst child exploitation material found on the internet was so large, it probably took him roughly 3,300 photos a day for the past 20 years to accumulate. He also had a collection of videos that equated to roughly 1 a day for almost 15 years. The collection of almost 1.2 million images and videos showed babies, toddlers, and young children being sexually exploited has now been destroyed, and its owner, Bevan John Harmon, has been sent to prison and of course has to register as a child sex offender. The 61-year-old barely blinked as he was sentenced in the Nelson District Court today to 6 years and 4 months in prison on 3 representative charges of knowingly possessing objectionable publications, namely child exploitation material. Neither did Harmon budge at the shocking summary of facts which were read in court, including that the victims in some of the video material could be seen heard screaming in pain. Others have been drugged, were asleep, or awakened in great distress, while some have been raised from a young age to be personal sex slaves, all for the gratification of online viewers. I don't understand how our justice system can only give a man 6 years. That's unacceptable. These laws need to change. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office have formally filed child sexual battery charges against a father of 7 who has already pleaded guilty to federal charges of production and distribution of child sexual abuse material. Monroe County authorities filed 17 felony and misdemeanor sexual battery and cruelty charges against the former Marathon resident Eric Cadigan, a 39-year-old. The charges include child cruelty, sexual assault on a minor, lewd and lascivious behavior, contributing to the delinquency of a child, among others. The charges follow an investigation by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, as well as the FBI and Office of State Attorney, according to the Sheriff's Office spokesman. Cardigan's arrest warrant details several occasions in which he engaged in sexual acts with minor children and videotaped minor children engaging in sexual acts. Cadigan, who had last resided in Wisconsin, was previously arrested there by the FBI and pleaded guilty in federal court back in March to distributing child sexual abuse material. He was sentenced in June to 20 years in federal prison, to be followed by a lifetime of supervised release. Well, deputies have also arrested Cardigan's wife, Kia Lynn Cadigan. I keep saying Cardigan, it's Cadigan. Another 34-year-old on multiple felony aggravated child abuse and child sexual battery charges. Her case has yet to be adjudicated in the Monroe County court system. Both suspects are former live-aboard residents of Boot Key Harbor in Marathon. Eric Cadigan remains in Monroe County Jail on $2.225 million, while Kia remains in Monroe County Jail on $550,000 bond. Disgusting, sickening Chomo-Chomat couple. Yakima County Department of Corrections officers take Craig Michael Berry into custody here in this picture. After a hearing in Yakima County Superior Court on Friday, today, Berry was charged with multiple counts of sexually exploiting minors he met online. He was ordered detained after Judge Elizabeth Tutch found he violated the terms of his pretrial release by playing World of Warcraft online with at least one minor. You can't do it. You gotta follow those terms and conditions, Chomo. He pleaded guilty Monday, July 1st, to multiple counts of enticing minors and producing child sexual abuse material. See ya, Chomo.
Yeah, my mother told me there'd be days like this.
Hi, Mr. Fritz.
Hey, Kelly. Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming over.
Nice to see you too. Always happy to help out with Aiden.
1 in 5 children is sexually abused before they turn 18.
Aiden, come say hi to Kelly.
Do you know the signs?
What are you doing?
Learn more about the risks of child sexual abuse at sapria.org.
Say, excuse me, Judge. How many times do I need to show these videos until people become aware?
Multiple times.
When a child experiences trauma, they can be stripped of their ability to imagine. But imagination is colors. All the colors. Imagination is freedom. And whatever you want it to be. But a child without imagination is not a child at all. Will you help defend our right to imagine?